Guys, today I'm going to show you how to start a Tinder conversation. And this is a step-by-step method without lame copy-paste lines that 1,000 other guys are using. And you know what? I've been wondering why most videos focused around dating apps and on helping you learn how to start a Tinder conversation give you a bunch of dumb pickup lines that look like they were thought up by some teenager living in his mom's basement. Pisses me off. And I fell into that trap myself when I was just starting out trying to learn how to text girls and how to start a conversation on Tinder, on Bumble, and most dating apps. Over time, I learned that women aren't dumb. They can sense a guy who's full of shit. They can tell when you try to use a copy paste line on them. So stop trying to trick women and start demonstrating real understanding of how their mind works. And then you won't need to try so hard to get them to meet you for a date or a hookup. In order to be extraordinary, you need to do extraordinary things. By definition, extraordinary means you have to be unlike everyone else. In this video, I will show you a systematic step-by-step process I created over 7+ years. It has been refined slowly and painstakingly. That shows you how to start a Tinder conversation with a girl who has matched with you not just on Tinder, but on all dating apps. Let me show you how to start a Tinder conversation and get massive results with minimal effort. This process incorporates psychology and persuasion to get to the root of how to get a girl to respond, and it consists of 3 main steps. Step 1. Visualize the encounter from the woman's perspective. Step 2. Before sending that first text, ask yourself if every other guy has done the same exact thing. Step 3. Before spending hours on a time waster, ask yourself, is this girl going to waste my time? Let's dive in a little deeper. Step 1. Visualize the encounter from the woman's perspective. Here's what you need to do. Get into her mindset and try to understand how and why she makes the decisions she does. Now, it's important for me to emphasize that this is not what most guys do, because it's hard. It's hard to understand people and the choices they make and why they do the things they do. But as a guy dedicated to the art of meeting women and showing them a good time, I knew that I had to master this skill. So this is a skill that people use in business and sales. In fact, you'll notice that the same concepts that are used to make sales are used to get dates with women. But I'm not going to get into that here. If you're interested in that, you would probably want to join our online course, Dating App Blueprint, which only opens up 2 to 3 times a year. You can join the waitlist by clicking the Learn More button. But anyways, as I was saying, most guys don't take the path of actually understanding the female's perspective. So most guys take the path of least resistance when it comes to how to start a Tinder conversation. Most guys want an ebook full of 67 copy-paste text messages that they can plug into their Tinder message bar and see instant gratification. What usually happens is that the girl laughs at the funny joke he made, which wasn't even his own, and then she goes on to meet a different kind of guy who sent her an absolutely stunning first message. Let me give you a few tips on what to do when you match with a new girl on dating apps. And here's how to understand her mindset and get inside her head before you send her the first message. Close your eyes and imagine for a moment you've just matched with a new girl. She's cute, blonde, petite, looks like she has that curvaceous booty that every guy dreams about. Now you feel the pressure. What do I say? If I don't text her, she'll forget about me. To that I'll say this: she is thinking the exact same thing about you. Yup, the way you feel is exactly the way she feels. Human behavior is constant regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. So instead of freaking out, you must realize that she's actually freaking out about you and how she could lose you. Oh, and by the way, she will only be freaking out if you did your job right when it came to your pictures and profile bio. And look, I'm not asking you to go all zen and start meditating with scent candles. I'm not asking you to do that. I am asking you to chill out and relax and understand that women actually want you just as bad as you want them, maybe even more so. Instead of immediately texting her a copy-paste text without even looking at her profile, you need to chill the fuck out and go into her pics and profile bio and actually read it. They are giving you incredible insight into what kind of mentality they have. Is she a submissive girl or is she a dominant girl? It's your job to understand her mindset and what turns her on before you send that first message. When you do your research before your first text, assuming your profile and bio are on point, that is when you see insane results. Results like these. And here's Mackenzie and me texting her. And notice how Mackenzie in this slide, she's messaging me first. And that wasn't a random accident, and she's not the first one to do that. And she says, "Hey," and I just responded with a text, and then she says, wink face, "Do you really mean that in your bio?" "Yeah, did it catch your attention?" She says, "Fuck me, daddy, fuck me real hard." And I ask her to meet up, basically, in that next text. And look at this other girl named Bonnie. She says hello. I'm like, it's 4:30 a.m. She says, I'm playful here. I'm saying I'm a vampire. She says, "Fair enough. I'm pretty sure vampires go to sleep too." And I'm like, "Yeah, during the day, want to meet up." So notice how I'm very aggressive about going for the meetup here as well. And on a side note, these girls messaged me first because they read one of my 3 proven and tested Tinder bios, which you can grab by clicking the download button on screen. Now let's move on to step 2. Before sending that first text, ask yourself if every other guy has done this exact same thing. And step 2, let me introduce you to a little concept that was discovered by an economist named Wilfredo Pareto that basically will revolutionize every aspect of your life. Pareto said that 90% of your big wins and results come from 10% of your activities. And the Pareto principle later was found to be true everywhere in life. It was true in nature, in economics, in dating, everywhere. And here's examples. 80% of pollen is distributed to 20% of flowers by bees. 80% of wealth is owned by 20% of people in the world. 80% of women sleep with 20% of men. And how does this apply to this video and how to start a Tinder conversation? Well, to be brutally honest, 80% of men are sending the exact same retarded copy-paste messages to women. And 20% of men are either using extremely attractive pictures of themselves, or they're sending a personalized text message that shows they actually looked at the girl's profile and took the time to understand her mindset. You'll know when you're in the 20% because when you text a girl, you'll get a quick response, like within literally seconds, or she will actually message you first, as you saw in the previous pictures of my text exchanges with girls. Did you get that? You need to send her a unique first text that is specific to her profile. Now, by definition, a unique text cannot just be given to you by me. But there are a few guidelines on how to start the Tinder conversation properly. And there's a few guidelines that I'm going to discuss with you here. And first of all, do step 1 of this 3-step process that I discussed in this video, and study the girl's pics and profile. And so that was the first step, And then next thing you need to do is come up with a remark about her picture or something she said in her bio. This is very key because it shows that you didn't just come up with some text from some ebook you read and then you're mass spamming it. And then the part C is make sure it isn't a long ass response. Keep it very short. And why keep your first message short? You must keep it short and make it shorter than 31 characters. And here's why. As you can see, here's a picture of one of my students' Tinder's accounts, and notice the messages that got cut off. The girl only sees the first 31 characters of your first message, so make sure it is shorter than 31 characters and relevant to her pics or bio. Okay? And now let's talk about the final step in the process. Step 3, before spending hours on a time waster, ask yourself, is this girl going to waste my time? And look, if you're watching this video, chances are that you hate girls who waste your time. I don't know one guy out there who enjoys the torture that most girls put guys through when it comes to actually meeting for a date. And girls will lead guys on for weeks, maybe even months, and never meet up with them. With your first message, you want to no, you need to figure out what type of girl she is. Is she a time waster or is she a yes girl? And here's what I do every time I match with a new girl. I go through her dating profile, I think a little bit about what relevant text I can send her, and then I wait and categorize her into one of three different categories within the first few minutes of interacting with her. These three categories are yes girl, maybe girl, or no girl. And these three categories, you can pretty much tell a yes girl, like she'll respond really quickly to your messages, and the maybe girl, she'll respond, but she won't be like too eager to respond. She might lag behind a few minutes or maybe like an hour or something like that. you know and the no girl, she'll just usually, these girls are like, they're condescending to you, and they're like insulting even, and sometimes they'll even like they won't even respond. First of all, that's another thing. And then they'll another sign that it's a no girl is like she's trolling you. She's kind of like making you think that she's interested, but like she's trolling to try to get like a reaction out of you. And so there's two types of maybe girls: those who are actually interested but a little shy, and those who are time wasters. You need to be able to differentiate between the two. So basically, these are the only two things on my checklist: minimize the time I spend on time wasters, and maximize the time I spend on girls who are compliant, the yes girls. And did you notice something here? This all goes back once again to the Pareto principle. Now, let me tell you a story that will save you 7 years of your life struggling to drag your balls through broken glass trying to text disinterested women. When I was in college and went out every day to approach girls and collect phone numbers, and we didn't have Tinder back then, so that's why I was doing this, I would eventually start noticing patterns when I sent mass texts out at the end of the week. What I noticed back then was that 11.27% of the women whose numbers I got, regardless of the sample quality and sample size, would give me absolutely no objections, would be fully compliant, and would meet me for a date without having to drag my balls through shards of broken glass. This was the point at which I started to realize the 90-10 rule, or Pareto principle, whatever you want to call it, is true of nearly all things in life. I now spend absolutely zero time on women who behave difficult or give me a hard time. I get rid of them as soon as they start giving me signs that they are time wasters. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't delete them. I just prioritize my time on girls who actually demonstrate active interest. Would you imagine that? The other girls I usually put on a back burner and stop texting them for a few days, and then mass text all of them to convert a few more out of that batch. And the results, as you can see, have been nothing short of spectacular. And on the left side here, this is a girl named Alexis, and she texts me after I smashed her already. So she says, I was so wet because I was mad scared and horny at the same time. Plus the kisses, the way you treated me, and that kiss, then kissed. Wow. So this is after I smashed her already. And then the girl in the middle here is a different girl named Christy, and this is me texting her after I already banged her, and she says, I did in my mouth, so she swallowed my cum. And so like the girl on the right side here is named Grace, and she's like a petite Asian college girl who came over directly to my bedroom. And this is her message to me before we hung out. She says, I'm looking for a good time, not a long time. Friends could work too, I suppose. And so I looked at meeting her as soon as possible. So these are yes girls. They're not being stupid, and they're not treating you like shit, and they're not like spending an hour responding to you. They're not taking like 3 hours to respond to your messages. they're quick in their response, and then they're like, they're interested basically. And now I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me a story about one time when you felt frustrated because it felt like you had to climb a mountain just to get a girl to meet up, and what you're planning to do to change that after you've seen this video. And make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our website, hookupsonautopilot.com. So that's about it, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.